So one of the reasons I actually went to the Arc'teryx Acrux LT boot um, was I had to move away from the boot I was in previously. So I had done so much research on this boot as well as the La Sportiva Equilibrium. I was so excited about the boot. It was so comfortable, and it was really great on the ascents. On the descents, that's when I ran into trouble. And I don't know if it was just accruing pressure um, on the ascent, but what I noticed was the on the snowshoe for the Sportiva, the they have a lower buckle system that is metal protruding cinch points, and when your strap is pressed across that protruding buckle, it really causes a lot of pain after 4 or 5 hours. So I was having a lot of trouble, especially on the descents where my foot was really being pushed forward in the snowshoe binding. Um, you can see here on the Acrux, it's a fabric lace system, so there's no protruding lace buckle at the bottom to create that pressure point. So these instantly became much more comfortable, and I've done some quick testing, just in some trekking. I've not gone up any big ascents with these boots yet. I haven't had them long enough, but you can see right away how the lace system, the binding isn't pushing on that lace system on the boot. It's just something you should consider when you're buying, an all-around mountaineering boot. You plan to do a lot of snowshoeing, crampons, anything you think you're going to have some pressure across the top of the boot. You want to think about that lace system, and the history of Arc'teryx is really in that rock climbing industry. So this is really a very very much like a rock climber lace pattern on this boot. It's narrow, and it's a fabric loop, and it's really pretty low, so it doesn't really interfere with any of these bindings. So even if you get into like the MSR Lightning binding, which has like that rubber mesh web, which I'm probably going to get next year, it's that would have the same problem, right? It's more distributed, the pressure, but it's going to go across the top of the foot. So I'm really happy with this lace pattern. The odd thing is that La Sportiva had a discontinued boot before the Equilibrium, and it had this fabric lace system in the lower area of the boot, and they've changed it, went to like a big buckle, and they protrude probably almost a quarter of an inch. So it really creates a problem, especially when your foot is being forced down to the front of the snowshoe and you're descending in that pressure point. Like I said, it was not an easy descent on a couple of climbs. So unfortunately, I had to move away from that boot. I think this is a much better solution. It's just something you don't think about when you're kind of buying these things, right? You're just kind of going at it, and you're not maybe thinking about all the different applications. And then also throwing on crampons with this boot is super easy. This is a hybrid crampon, and just like most of these, it just snaps right into. That one's not fitted. Just snaps into that heel. Just got that high heel point. Snaps right on. Super easy and very comfortable. Like it's a really narrow heel on this boot. Fits right into the crampon super well. So overall, the boot's been super comfortable. It's really stiff. You saw in some of the earlier clips where I was just towing into some rock, some crevices. It creates a really really stable platform for getting into any kind of tight rock spaces. It's actually probably a pretty good scrambling boot. It is high on the ankle, so the flexibility would be tricky for real technical scrambling. But it's all rubber coated. It's got a lot of grip. It's got some kind of shank platform inside the sole. So it's a pretty stiff boot. I did some light trekking. It's okay. If I were doing massive miles, I'm not sure this is a boot I want to wear. I do think this is a 3-season boot, but in terms of putting on any kind of snow equipment, mountaineering equipment, and getting into any kind of technical rock climbing, during those mountaineering ascents, this is a great boot. I'm really excited about exploring more with it. So I don't think you can go wrong. The other thing I noticed is, like most Arc'teryx products, they have these like really clever little pieces of innovation, and these little midpoint lace cinch points, they kind of lock. They're actually pretty interesting. So when you tighten the lace, this little red loop locks the lace into place. So you see that kind of locks in. So it's pretty clever. It's something I kind of discovered on accident. So that's really convenient when you're trying to get those top laces tight. You don't want to keep dealing with that lower lace pattern, but that midpoint locks it so the lower lace pattern stays pretty, where you had set it, and then you can just tighten up the top. So it's actually a pretty neat little piece of invention or innovation. So that's it. Good luck. I think it's a really good boot. Probably more boot than I need for my stuff. I'm going to be probably doing, 8 to 12 different mountain ascents in the winter. So I'll be using a lot of different equipment with these boots. I do plan to get out in the spring and fall with these boots and see how they go. We'll see how they work. So far, so good.